started that blog that you've always been postponing and finally did it last month? Anybody? Sorry to say that the world has moved on. I did it too. But the world has moved on and caught up to another trend of vlogging, video blogging. And that's our next speaker today. We have Lakshmi Rebecca with us. She's the founder and filmmaker at Red Bangle. She's also an anchor and a vlogger. Lakshmi founded Red Bangle, a film production house in 2011. And in the same year, she launched an online talk show called the Lakshmi Rebecca Show, previously called Chai with Lakshmi, which features change makers in India. The show is a huge success and attracts millions of viewers. Lakshmi is interesting. She tried a new religion when she was 15. She ran away from home at 18 to do full-time social work in the slums of South India, started riding motorbikes when she was 19, and turned a model and anchor at 24. She has since done social research for award-winning documentary films on BBC and Discovery. And she is, like a lot of us here, she's also an entrepreneur, and that's what she's here to talk about today. 12 reasons why entrepreneurship sucks, and you should still try it. Welcome, Lakshmi.
Good morning, everybody. Not loud enough. It's Sunday morning, I know, but you're all entrepreneurs and you're crazy enough to be here. So good morning. That's more like it. Okay, so just so we know, just so we get to know each other a little bit before I start going on and on about those 12 reasons, I want to know how many of you are entrepreneurs. So if you're an entrepreneur, clap your hands. Nice. If you're looking to be an entrepreneur or you want to be an entrepreneur in the future, clap your hands. Okay, so we know who we are. If you've already been an entrepreneur, you've failed, but you're raring to go again with possibly an even bigger idea, clap your hands. Respect to you, respect. That's a lot of courage, so good luck to you. Now, one more reason I want you to clap your hands. If you think or if you know that entrepreneurship is a bloody tough thing to do, clap your hands. Yeah. I think a lot of us know that. Some of us have experienced it, and that's exactly what today's talk is about. So very briefly, I'll add to the introduction. I started 5 years ago. This is my 5th year in business. And it's only this year, after 4 years of hard work, that I really even feel like, God, it was such a good thing that I started up. And until last year, I was still like, why would I do this to myself, right? Why would I spend 15 hours a day? Why would I work weekends too and just keep doing and just keep working? And it can feel a little thankless sometimes, even to your own self. But you have to hit like the 5-year mark and maybe at the 10-year mark, maybe at the 20-year mark, and you're like, yes, that was a cool thing to do. But I think many of us are yet to get there, right? Clap your hands if you're less than a year old in the startup journey or in the entrepreneurial journey. Okay, so the rest of you have been at it a few years already. Clap your hands if you've been at this for like 5 years. Awesome. Okay, so I'm speaking to the, preaching to the people who really know what I'm going to talk about. Okay, so my talk today is about 12 reasons why entrepreneurship sucks. And and why you should still try it. But before I get into that, and what I want to lay on the table is this. Yesterday I was here, I listened to some of the talks, and today you're going to be sort of immersing into certain sort of industries, verticals, as well as into the topic of entrepreneurship itself. And a lot of the time today, I find that the conversation is about scale. And if you're a tech company, or maybe if you're in manufacturing, that's a great thing to be. But let's get some statistics right. There are about 50 million small and medium enterprises in India. But there are only 10 Indian companies which have made it to the Fortune 500 list. So in all likelihood, a lot of us entrepreneurs are only going to run small and medium enterprises. But I think the joy is in being very clear about what you're trying to do and being happy with your ambition. So in what I'm going to talk about now, whether you're a large, whether you're aiming to scale globally or you're a small enterprise or a medium-sized enterprise, it does not matter. I think some of these experiences will still apply to you, and I hope we're able to start Sunday on a light-hearted note, having a laugh at the reality of being an entrepreneur. So let's start with the first one. Yep, I've got an awesome idea. That's how it all starts. Now, possibly 6 months to 3 years before you actually started up, either you were really frustrated with what you're doing in life, or you came upon a solution that was needed in the market, that you understood this market, or you just wanted to go out there and do something totally new and challenging, and maybe you met a couple of other people who were working on a new idea. So that's how it starts. But let me also tell you that until the day you actually get to maybe your garage or office, or even you quit your job to start the first time around, you always feel like, okay, this is going to be a great idea, but will we make it? But am I going to make it? But do I know how to do this? And there are all these doubts. So no matter how excited you are, the exact opposite of that is also this feeling of doubt and nervousness and anxiety. And then comes everybody else's question, which is, are you crazy? Right? How many of you have been asked that question? Are you stupid to give up your good job, well-paying job? And how many of you have actually thought to yourself, am I doing the right thing? I would say everybody at some point, right? That's what entrepreneurship, that's how this journey all begins. So are you crazy? I think my parents asked me that. My mother is like, what would you do on YouTube? What's a video on YouTube? Like, she didn't know anything about digital. And my father's like, okay, why did you quit your job again? Right? And I've heard entrepreneurs say, my son thinks I'm a fool because I never get to see him. And I'm always working. And then if you're married, I hope you have a really understanding partner. So the next one is the first 6 months. Lawyers, accountants, copywriters, banks, paperwork, words. There's a lot of learning. It's not just about the market and the product or solution that you're building, but you're constantly learning about all these terms. And legal is a big thing, Accounting is a little simpler when you start, unless you're looking to rapidly scale in the first 9 to 10 months itself. But sitting with the lawyers and understanding some of those new terms, I want to hear, what is one of the toughest term you came across when you started up? And you were like, what is that? I never knew that before. Anybody, give me a shout. Sorry? Copyrights, yeah? Litigations, okay, litigation. Why do you have to deal with litigation in the first 6 months? I hope you never have to deal with litigation in the first 6 months. But anyway, so there's things like that. And there's a lot of paperwork. In India, it's not easy to get all the paperwork done, especially if you're building something that involves a lot of IP. And for every time you have to go apply. And by the end of the first 6 months, if you thought you had enough money to survive for 6 months to 1 year, you've probably spent more than that on just all these guys. And your new website and your marketing collateral, etc. And then this is where a lot of people are, anywhere between the first few months to the next 10 years. We're going after whether it's friends, family and fools, or angels and VCs, and asking them, please give me some money. And we're knocking on doors. I've got a great idea. Hear me out, right? How many of you have done that? Only a few of you? Come on, clap your hands if you've ever asked anyone for money to help run your startup. Yeah, that's more like it. I've had to borrow money from family too, and thankfully now I'm able to pay it back. And it's a difficult spot to be, because all you've got is an idea, and you've got plenty of doubts as much as some sort of intuitive confidence in what you're pursuing. And it's tough luck when you fail, because you have that many more answers to give to yourself. Forget about all these other people. Money, you'll make it back. You can go get a better job with all that experience, better money, and you'll return the money. But failure is a tough thing to deal with in the face of all of this in this situation. But the fascinating thing is, when you do land a good round of funding, then it comes with all that responsibility too, that you have to deliver. So it's always this chicken and egg situation. It's never going to be just one emotion in one go. And then the idea. you started with one idea. I'll tell you about how I started. I started with just wanting to do a video blog. That's how I started. 6 months later, I was running a full-fledged production house. That's not how I started, but that's how it worked because YouTube revenues in India, let's be honest, YouTube revenues in India are not that great if you have a primary YouTube audience. And even though I have millions of viewers, it's not enough to pay all the salaries of my staff. And so I realized, hey, we have in-house capacity, we make these great videos, why don't we go out and offer the service? And that's really how my production house started. 5 years on, we've made some 150 films for clients, so that's a great place to be, but that's really not how it started. And I think for most of you, I would guess that the idea that you started with, you probably have been through many rounds of revisions, iterations, and by the time you get to the 5th year, the vision's very different. And I hope it's still, though, it's still core to what you really want to achieve in life, what you believe in, and I think that's the most important thing. But what all of this teaches you is also to keep constantly learning, it's a lot of hard work, you keep constantly thinking. And I remember, I'll wake up at 3 a.m. and I'll have an idea and I'll be lying in bed thinking. 3 a.m. in the morning, and I wake up at 7 a.m. and thinking about it again. And you go out for a drink with friends and you're thinking about it again. And it's always there. You're always living, breathing this idea and the evolution of that. And the interesting thing is if you went through the 2-3 phases before, which is, you have 2-3 people that you founded the business with, or you have investors, they're also contributing to how that idea is shaping up. So it's not just this monodimensional exercise in your head, but it is a lot of thinking that you have to go through. And then you're live, your product is live, maybe 8 months, maybe a year, maybe sooner, but you look like shit and you feel like shit because you haven't had enough sleep, you haven't been eating on time, and you haven't had time to shave maybe for a few days. So, and I can tell you from my own perspective, the first 2 years of business, I did not take a single weekend off, and I felt pretty burnt out. Okay, all right, okay. Can you hear me better now in the back? Yes? Yeah, okay. Okay. Are you having problems hearing me in the back? No? Yeah, we're good, looks like. Yeah, all right, thank you. So, 1 year later, if you figured out your idea, you probably still can't afford that fancy car that you dreamed about 3 years ago because you thought, hey, you'll start up and you'll make money and you'll get yourself a new car, and if you're married, you probably promised your wife a diamond. If you're a girl like me, I probably promised myself either a new car or motorbikes because I'm into motorbikes, but no, that hasn't happened yet. Hopefully in the 6th year of business, it will, right? But you also realize through those first few years that what entrepreneurship teaches you is a lot of perseverance. And I think it teaches you perseverance and persistence like nothing ever otherwise in life, at least for me, has taught me. So I think it's a fantastic journey to go through just as human beings, even if we don't succeed as entrepreneurs, to learn that because it makes you so much stronger to go out and dream big and achieve anything else that, or to try to achieve anything as big as you might want to. And then, of course, a lot of single people will relate to this. Yeah? How many single men in the room? How many single women in the room? Only a few. Wow. That says a lot. Single women, clap your hands. Yeah. 5, 10 maybe, but there's a lot of single men in this room. Now, single men, I'm sure you've experienced this, especially in the Indian marriage market. Your value in the Indian marriage market would have dramatically gone down because you don't have a steady income. Also, possibly your expectations from your wife-to-be would have dramatically gone up, inversely proportionate. Correct? Correct? And women, I'll speak from my experience. My expectation from a guy earlier, before I started up to now, is like very different. Earlier I would have said, yeah, nice guy, nice family, decent enough money and whatever. Now I'm like, okay, will he understand it if I'm working 15 hours? Will he maybe make me a hot breakfast in the morning if I'm too tired? Seriously, I want him to cook. Okay? And I want to be able to look after the baby if we have a baby, if I'm working over the weekend. So the expectations are like so different. I wouldn't have thought of these things like 6 years ago, right? But that makes it tougher too, unless of course that person really understands what entrepreneurship. So all you single guys, good luck. Okay, 5 years. I'm in my 5th year. You made it. Phew. Okay? But wait, it just began. 5 years will feel like 20, but you just began. And there's a long, 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 long way to go. One of my friends, Gopichand Katragada, who's now the innovation head at Tata Sons, says, when you think of a business, build it with a vision for a century. Build a business for a century. And I felt like telling him when he told me this, yeah, 5 years felt like it. But 5 years is just a beginning. It's like a baby. And I think a lot of us think of our startups as if they were babies. And 5 years is just the beginning. There's a long, long way to go. If you're a small and medium business, or even if you're getting to the larger stage, if you open Economic Times and read it today, there's all this news about who got funded for how many millions and billions of dollars, and you're sitting there on your own in the morning with your tea or coffee, reading the paper, wondering, what the hell am I doing? Right? Clap your hands if you ever felt that, if you ever read one of those articles. Yeah. But I think, as much as all of us have our doubts and we are constantly comparing with other entrepreneurs and other business journeys and stories, one thing we have to be very clear about is what is our motivation? Is our idea, even the kind that can be scaled? Do we want to scale? And I think I went through that sort of discussion with my team and with my own self last year. And at the end of last year, I said, no, I don't want to scale. I only want to have one office in Bangalore. I'm happy with that. As a creative boutique, a film production house, we can cater to any client anywhere in the world, but I don't want to be everywhere in the world. I'm happy with just one office and a small team, and that's all I want. I want to take my weekends off, maybe come to August Fest and meet all you crazy guys, and watch lots of movies, sleep enough, eat well. So I'm happy, and it's a lifestyle business, and I'm happy. So I think all of you have to ask yourselves, what is it that's going to make you happy? And instead of worrying about what size you are. So, right, 8 years later, right, you've got here finally. There are times when you've thought about what the hell was I thinking when I started up, but you've also at a point now where you have a bigger vision, bigger dream, and the goals are never smaller. They never got smaller, and that's both a problem and a good problem to have. Clap your hands if you are confident that your goal from the day you started to now has only dramatically and tremendously grown. Yeah, we're all ambitious, optimistic people, and it's a great place to be. And this is a great time in India to be here and to dream big. And I hope in the first 5 to 8 years, the most important thing is to network and to build the right kind of connects that can give you access to resources and not just money when I say resources, but also access to kind of technologies you need and people that you need to sort of build forward and dream bigger and help you achieve those bigger goals. And hopefully also by now your family understands you and your partner understands you and your co-founders, and you get along well enough that you can go on to do bigger, stronger, more audacious things. But that's a journey on its own. Number 12, growing up means, let's say 10 years, 15 years, you've made all the money, and you're super rich, right? There's a queue, constant queue of people waiting to meet you because now you can fund them. All those crazy entrepreneurs who started up just yesterday are going to come to you and ask you for advice and are going to ask you to invest. And that's a good place to be because you can speak from experience. But if you are someone who says, okay, I'm over and done with this, I'm never going to do anything to do with entrepreneurship again, too bad. Now, clap your hands if you could relate to at least one of those 12 reasons why entrepreneurship possibly sucks. Clap your hands if you could relate to 6 out of 12. Clap your hands if you could relate to number 12 in particular. You've got lots of money, and there are a few people over there too. Okay, you know who you need to go to and talk to for investment this, whilst you're here at the August Fest. Okay, now what, I'll now move on to talk about like the 3 things that I got out of entrepreneurship, I think firstly, more than any job I held in the past or any opportunity I tried to tap into in the past, entrepreneurship is where I really discovered my own abilities and felt really confident about them. It was an open opportunity to go to whatever I want to do and learn in multiple levels, in multiple ways. And that was really, really fascinating. I don't think anything else in life has given me, in my professional life has given me this kind of an opportunity. Second thing, as I was mentioning earlier, entrepreneurship teaches you to dream big. It teaches you to really be ambitious, because whether your goal is small or big, you realize soon enough the hard work is the same. So you might as well dream big, or if you're comfortable, dream small and be happy with that. The third thing, of course, is I realized entrepreneurship is possibly one of the only rare few ways that life is going to present to you an opportunity to enrich not just your life, but possibly a million other lives. So I'd like to leave you with that thought today, that if you're already an entrepreneur or if you're considering becoming an entrepreneur, regardless of all those 12 reasons and many, many more, that it's such a tough journey to undertake, that we only undertake it because it enriches our lives in many ways, not just monetarily, and enriches the lives of at least a million people for each of you who's attempting entrepreneurship, and for me as well. So all the best and have a joyful day. Thank you.